Hey everyone, welcome to part two of breaking into web hacking in 2024. We're going to continue exploring labs on portswigger.net. Last week we hit basic SSRF against the local server. If you want to see the full solution, make sure to check out that episode. This week we are going to be hitting this lab, exploiting cross-site scripting to steal cookies. So it is a step harder than last week, so there's a little bit more hands-on in terms of what we're going to have to be doing on with Burp Suite and how we're going to play around with the payload for it to work. I did previously complete this lab, so it's not completely new to me. And I also do have the solution already on my notes, but I will save that towards the end. So let's take a look at what the lab is about. So the lab contains a stored XSS vulnerability in the block comments function. So what this means is XSS is cross-site scripting, abbreviated, and this allows us to inject any sort of JavaScript code into a page. Usually that's through user input. So like let's say in this case they're saying block comments. So what I'm assuming is that in the comment section we'll be able to comment something with HTML tags, and I'll give you guys an example of that when we get there. And the HTML tags will render once the page loads, and within those HTML tags we could put in our JavaScript function. In this case, we wanted to steal other people's cookies and then use this cookie to impersonate the victim. Um, so what I liked about this lab is something I mentioned last week is that you really just need Burp Suite Community Edition to do a lot of, if you want to start finding vulnerabilities out in the wild. But this lab, this gives us a note right here that because it's going to prevent any sort of interactions with external URLs, external systems. We saw this last week when I tried to use the webhook.site to confirm the server-side request forgery attack. We got a 500 internal server error. So because of that, we won't be able to use Burp Collaborators feature, which creates a URL for us to use to confirm that the cookies are being sent to our URL. And this is going to make more sense as we go through the lab, but instead of going down that route, we are going to find another vulnerability within the application called CSRF, cross-site request forgery. So this attack will allow us to do any sort of action that's supposed to come from the application. So what we're going to look for is the action that causes the comment to be uploaded. And then within that action, we are going to put our XSS payload so that we'll get our cookies back. All right, so let's access the lab. So I'm already logged in, so I'm just gonna refresh. Boom. Like I said, I did solve it already, so it's not completely fresh to me, but I think this is a very useful lab in understanding how to chain attacks together and understanding the power of XSS and why. If you find this vulnerability out in the wild, there's so many things you can do aside from just stealing session cookies. All right, so we opened it up. While this loads, let's fire up our burp. Boom. Mhm. So cookies will have two different kinds of flags. Well, a couple different flags, but the flag we're interested in looking at is the HTTP only flag. If we do not see that flag on the cookie, then we are pretty much good to use JavaScript to retrieve that cookie. Um, let's go to. So we already know that the vulnerable request is the comment. So before we commented, let's make sure our burp is ready to go. So we're going to create a temporary project. Use the defaults. As you get more advanced in your testing, or if you start working on, let's say, like a singular environment where you're going to go deeper and deeper into the testing, you will start configuring your burp to have certain settings preset. But for us, this is good enough. All right, while that fires up, we'll just click around here. So this browser is not proxy through our burp. So I just want to open up our burp and open up the browser that is being proxied through our burp. All right, let's view the post. Perfect. We're going to navigate to our proxy, open up the browser straight away. I think I clicked it, but just in case. A little bit slow. That's fine. Is copy this URL. Well, let's actually go back to home. All right, so we're going to copy this URL, control copy. Failed to load. Oh my God. Oh, we're good to go. We're good to go. So I had previously downloaded Burp multiple times, so I thought for a moment that one of the files was missing there from a previously downloaded Burp, but it looks like we're good to go. Hopefully. Uh-oh. All right, we're good to go. We're good to go. I'm only getting those errors because I have multiple Burp suites that I downloaded on this specific computer. Just gonna make sure I delete all of them. All right. So we're gonna view at the post. So just a little refresher from last week. This is our proxy. We're able to see our traffic. This is the original GET request. We have a couple of JavaScript libraries here loaded for us. Um, we're interested in the post, the vulnerable post request. So let's look at the, uh, the blogs. We should have a comment section here. Perfect. We do. Um, just a basic example of XSS. We're going to use the script tag with an alert message. I know I said basic, but we're just going to demonstrate how the cookie gets used here. So we're going to go for document dot cookie. Close that. Script. All right. So what this is saying is we are putting some if the payload works the way we want it to. In this case, we already we're hinted that it does. The script tag is going to execute. It's going to render the alert message for a JavaScript function here, and we are going to call the cookie using the document, like the document.cookie function for us here. And just so that we can kind of see that this is we're gonna send that to repeater. Just the first get request we're gonna get. Our name, we're gonna be hoping for the best. Email, we're tester at tester.com. Website, cookies.com. Beautiful. All right. Right here. All right. So I need to click these so that you see right now they're a little out of order. Perfect. I like the newer ones at the top. So here we have the post comment. I'm going to send that to repeater. This is the request that executed that that action for us. That sent the comment. Here we can see it uses CSRF token, and CSRF tokens are used so that the server can validate that this request is coming from a very specific location on the page and from a very specific page. So for us, this is saying that this is coming from this post, this article, and it's coming from this URL, which is expected. So to test for CSRF, that's going to be the next thing we're going to do after we validate that the XSS works for us. Let's make this bigger. Back to the blog. And if it works, we're going to get, boom, beautiful. So this is our session cookie. This is the same cookie that gets reflected for us here. This is us. So these are post requests. The cookie header contains the session cookie with the cookie that belongs to us. And what that function did for us, you see it here. We're going to inspect it. All right, where is it? Use the little mouse. Right there. So this is where our payload went. So as we can see, it's within these p tags. So HTML pages, HTML files are built off of HTML tags. Each one of them has a very specific purpose. So the first one is the one that expresses the document that it is. So HTML, head is the header, body is the the body of the file of the page. Divs are just different sections. Here we can see another script tag that includes a JavaScript that it's intended by the application. And what we did here is we saw the comments were within these p tags. So just by putting our simple script tags here, the page rendered these as actual script tags. So we saw here it reflected our cookie, but that's not the point of the lab to reflect our own cookie. We don't really care about that since we can already grab it. What we want is to have other cookies reflect on the comment section so that we can then grab those cookies and put it in our request here and essentially take over those accounts. Um, so we proved the base case, which is that XSS is there. So now let's go to see that CSRF is there as well, cross-site request forgery. So the way you test for this, I test for this in two different ways. First is I repeat the same request. Um, if it is vulnerable to this, then I'm going to change the comment so that we can really verify that it is the specific one. So let's change it to CSRF test. So I'm going to repeat this test one. So I'm going to repeat this request. The CSRF token should be invalidated after a single use. So if it's not invalidated, that means we can just grab the CSRF token for future use. Okay, so we got a 302 found, a confirmation. Before we validate that happens, we're also just going to delete the parameter altogether. In some situations, it just doesn't care about the parameter. So also test for that. Let's go for two, CSRF test two. All right, so in this case, it does care about the parameter. Now let's see if it actually cares about the value itself. So these last three digits, I'm just going to change them to zeros. And we're going to do CSRF test three. So what this is going to show me is maybe it just cares that it has any sort of string of this length and not necessarily that it's a valid string. So let's see what we get. All right, invalid CSRF token. Okay, so our first test is the one that seems to have worked. Just to make sure that it did work, let's go back to our comment section, refresh. CSRF test one, boom. So we confirm that CSRF does exist in this comment section specifically. So the next thing we're going to want to do is essentially replicate that action and put that action into our JavaScript, into our JS. So we already know that these are required parameters to leave a comment. By that I mean, let's say I do test, and I try to pass it with no name or an email. So it's a required field, and it has to be specific format. So let's say I do SS. See, so it needs to be a specific format in these cases. So we have to make sure that when we create our payload to go here, we are going to have to include all those parameters, not just the comment that's going to comment the cookies. So like I did say previously, I did solve this already, and I do have the answer already. Not the answer, but the solution here. The the payload, I would say. So we're just going to copy that and paste it, and I'll break it down exactly what it does. Okay. Um, okay. Let's dig into this function here. So again, we started with our script tags uh, to show that this is going to render as a script here. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create an event listener using the window function here to load up the DOM, meaning that we're going to grab this. This is exactly how we're going to grab the CSRF here, the token. Uh, and we're going to create a function here that's going to have two variables for us. First is the CSRF token variable, and this variable is going to call the document similar to how we did a document.cookie up here. Document get element by name, CSRF, 0. So if you've done a little computer programming before, you know that most of these languages like to have 0 as the first case. So what this is saying is at the first instance where CSRF is called, where the this is, it is going to grab that value, and that value is going to be right here. So this is the form. So it does a post comment method post. This is a CSRF value that I was talking about. So it's gonna this variable here grabs that value. This is the token that we need for it to make a valid request. Um, this is number 4. So I am gonna change this to 4. Just because this is it might not work if it's from a different article. So I would rather just have it work for us on the first go. So post ID is this post ID variable. You want to make sure that it's the exact variable you're calling. Um, so we're using the data pen to create the variable data here. And here we're going to use the fetch function to be able to do the post request with the data that we're creating here for us. So again, the comment here for us is going to be the document.cookie. As we saw with the alert, the cookie is called and we're able to get it. And then we're also going to have the name, and we're just going to call this person victim, just because they are at this point, if this is vulnerable to this. And the email doesn't matter as long as it follows the same format. And then we have the URL. Again, it doesn't matter as long as it follows the format that we need. All right, so with all these required parameters, boom. All right, so we do need a valid email, s@s.com. This needs to be HTTP, right? We are going to be hoping for the best as well again. And if this works as expected, we should have this lab solved. Post. Okay, so it's not going to be solved right away, but we are going to go back to blog. Session cookie, this is ours again. This is the one we see in our header, in our own header, right here. Uh, let's click OK. Let's cross our fingers that this works. Okay, perfect. Here we go. So we have a session cookie that's different than ours. This is just one that Portswigger just made, randomly. But in a real case scenario, any user who visits this site will have their session cookie automatically shared here. Let's see. Just to play around with it, we are gonna go back to here, just because this is a different. Boom. This is our session cookie. This is a different session cookie now. As we can see, this is 7. Starts with a 7. And boom, we have another cookie here. Look at this. We're just here collecting cookies. What we're going to do to solve this lab is we're going to grab this one, grab the last one, go to our session cookie here. And if we're good, okay, invalid CSRF token. All right, we're just going to delete all of this altogether. Change the request method. We are going to just go to the baseline. To solve this lab, we just have to make one successful authenticated request. Clearly, with the post, we need a CSRF token. Beautiful. Solved. It says solved. Let's see if it does. Beautiful. And we did it. We use cross-site scripting. So just a summary of what we did here. We were able to inject our own HTML tags into this page, because at the end of the day, all of these web pages are just rendered HTML tags. So here we're able to use the script tags to comment cookies here from other users, and then we could just grab the cookie. We'll come and revisit it, grab the cookie, put it on our own request, and now we are that user, essentially taking over that user's account. Um, To remediate something like this is, all right, guys. Hope this was helpful for you guys, and you guys got a better understanding of what XSS is, cross-site scripting, and you guys can start testing. Make sure that when you guys are testing for XSS, you guys are doing it somewhere where you guys are legally allowed to, and also you guys are playing around with all these different kinds of tags. Check out some cheat sheets online. You'll be able to get ideas of different payloads, get different ideas of how to use it. Here we have to get a little bit creative to kind of go around not being able to use Burp Collaborator. But another way of solving this lab is if you have the Burp Collaborator, you would be able to send those cookies directly over to the URL that you have. And you'll be able to see the cookies in the URL traffic. And from there, you can grab it and uh, use it for yourself. But we did have to get a little bit more creative here with the CSRF, which I do enjoy. Um, CSRF is one of those vulnerabilities that I personally think that on its own is really not that impactful. But when you start combining CSRF with other kind of vulnerabilities, then you start getting something that's really it's really juicy. In this case, we got cookies. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out, comment below. You guys want to see part three coming up next, like, comment, and subscribe. And peace, bucks, and muscle, guys. Keep hacking.